Hello. So my name is Sarah, and my background is in applied languages. So obviously, I'm very comfortable talking in front of a lot of people, and not at all phased by how many of you have shown up. This doesn't have to be factual, does it? Okay, great. Most of that was a lie, and this is exactly as terrifying as I thought it would be. But anyway, so give us a shout if you like learning. Okay, great. Good to know. People always say it's good to do like a bit of audience interaction at these kind of things, and while I do think like I nailed that, obviously, I don't really know like how to proceed now. Like there are an awful lot of you, and there's just one of me, so the whole situation, it doesn't really like lend itself to conversation too well, does it? Like none of you even answered there, so I mean, I don't know what I'm meant to do. But yeah, I find language in general fascinating. Like they can tell you an awful lot about a country and its culture. And like if something is really common in one place, they're probably going to have a load of words for it. So like in Irish and in Irish English, there's loads of words for rain, because it rains a lot. And then in Finland and more northern countries, they would have a lot of words for snow because it snows a lot. Thank you. And then, like in England, then like they have loads of words for invading and colonizing other countries. So it's fascinating. I actually, speaking of colonization, I had a call recently where at the end of it, the guy asked me where I was from, and I said Ireland, and he just went, "Oh yeah, I thought it was one of those countries that was colonized by England." And like, I know I'm monotoned, but I didn't think that my voice would just express, years of colonization. But apparently, it does. So yeah, but gonna have to look at my hand. Snow, no, not snow this time. So yeah, like learning languages is a bit of a weird one. It it basically results in you just overanalyzing, anything anyone ever says to you. So like it's kind of full time, but so say sometimes like I go into work, I do try, and like a colleague might say, good morning, and I'll say it back, but like in my head I'm kind of wondering like, what do you want from me? Because it's very early in the day to be throwing out that many words. Like that's a lot of effort. I must have done something wrong the day before, forgotten something, accidentally set a building on fire again. There must be something. Or like later on someone might say, like bump into me and say, "Hey, how are you?" And I'll just start thinking like, why are they asking about my well-being? Like, do they think I'm unwell? Like, are they concerned about my general health? Like, do they think I'm sick? Like, am I sick? Like, is it contagious? Like, should I leave immediately? Just like normal kind of regular thoughts like those. And I have similar enough issues then with compliments. So like, studying languages, we were always taught to look into what isn't said as well as what is. Like primarily what is said. Like that's kind of the main thing. So like if you're not doing that, you're probably going a bit wrong. But they did always say, if you have a bit of spare time, do look into what isn't said as well. Hours of entertainment to be had there. So then with compliments, I get a bit thrown. So like if someone was to give me a compliment, like say if you were to say, "Sarah, I really like your hair." Thank you. Okay. See, that's lovely, but what I get from that is that you hate everything else about me with an absolute passion. So thanks. So yeah, I may read into things a little bit too much. But yeah, another thing we would have looked at while studying languages was like all of this overanalysis. On a more normal level, it's just called discourse analysis when you're not a bit mental about it. And we would have looked at this in things like politics. And like in politics, it's mad because there are like struggles for power in all sorts of places you wouldn't expect. So like in any kind of televised situation with like world leaders, if they're going through a doorway together, just two of them, you know, there's a struggle there, and their aim basically is to have the other person go through the door ahead of them to show that they, and therefore their country, is in complete control. So they're all just like, oh, after you, and really they're just like, oh, my country has all the power, lol. Not an exact quote, but something like that. So I'm really glad that I learned this, because now, like, if anyone tries to be all like polite and opens the door for me or tries to let me go through ahead of them, I 100% know the crack, and I can see that they're just trying to oppress me and everything that I stand for. So like, I can tell them where to go, like through the door ahead of me. And then just like one other thing we would have noticed studying languages is that Irish people do tend to be very indirect. Well, like some Irish people tend to be very, very indirect. I'm not going to name any names or anything, but they know who they are. So just for example, like if I, like, it's just, we're just afraid of being rude or, you know, being too straight up with people. So if I have a guest in my home, I might try and be really polite, and I'll just say like, oh, would you like a cup of tea? And what I mean by that is I can really only stand to have you in my house for about as long as it'll take you to drink that cup of tea, you know, or for the tea to go cold, which you can't really say that like that. That is a bit rude, and they do tend to not come back. Like on the plus side, they do leave. They leave very quickly, so like you don't have the problem of them saying they're welcome, but they don't really tend to talk to you again, unfortunately. So just one last like hypothetical, completely hypothetical example is, say if I wanted to get off this stage immediately, like I wouldn't say, you know, I want to get off this stage. I might say something like, oh God, like, is that the time already? Or, you know, geez, it feels like I've been up here about 7 years. Yeah, so just incidentally, does anyone have the time?